Hey, it's the Scotch Test Dummies. Today we're talking about Talisker 10-year.
And your zipper's down.
Panic, scream,
Run.
fear.
Let's test it.
Test it.
All right, Scott and Bart. Bart, the other day I went to the grocery store.
That's good.
Went across town to my kid's school. Had to pick him up to go to the doctor's office.
So far, intriguing.
Get to the doctor's office, step out of my truck, notice my zipper's down.
Lord have mercy where you're wearing drawers.
And immediately, like a bead of sweat forms, you start that little bit of panic. You're looking around, who saw it, who noticed, and you want to zip up.
Were you commando?
No.
Huh, so there was no actual dingle-dangle possible.
But that's where I'm going. Oh, and so I zip up, but then I'm thinking, why did I panic like that? Because my zipper was down.
Same thing happens to me. Matter of fact, when I was in college, in my sociology class, we had to do a field experiment. My experiment was it was twofold. I had to enter an elevator with my zipper down. The zipper actually had to be down the whole day, which was part of the deal. I had to note it. But at the culmination, I had to enter an elevator, crowded elevator, face the people, and just stand there like I was waiting. But the whole time my zipper was down. And I will tell you, the urge of the whole day was I kept catching it. It was like, ooh, ooh. And I would go to fix it and be like, then I'd have to log down. And it was like it was new. And I had underwear on.
Yeah. Which, why do we panic though like that? Like, if you got something hanging out, I guess I could see the panic. But the purpose of the drawers or the underwear is to conceal all that. So
I think
the zipper is really, it's kind of a cautionary, it's like a secondary measure, or the underwear, I guess, is the secondary measure for in case the zipper is down.
As long as the horse isn't peeking out of the barn door.
Yeah, as long as you're not letting the mouse out of the house.
Notice mine's a horse. I will say you're right. It's a social folkway.
I think
it's not a moray, but it's a folkway.
I think we should do your experiment, and we should walk around with our zippers down.
You boy.
Unless you're a commando.
Well, yeah, you don't want to break the law. But I was surprised how hard that experiment actually was. I kept catching myself. The only thing maybe we'll add photos of us in different stages.
Well, yeah. And here's what I realized too, and me and Bart have talked about, is you got different stages of undress in the zipper.
Right.
You could consider, a stage one is where it's just partially unzipped. Sometimes, after Thanksgiving or the holidays, you put on a little weight and you can't quite get that zipper up all the way.
Well, I let a button loose once, and apparently that led to what I call a cascading failure.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was out. Only the belt was basically saved me from being depant.
Maybe you still wear the Levi's, the 501s. Remember the button
up? Fly.
Man, just the top button is undone.
Okay? I love the button fly.
That's stage one.
It was hard to button quickly though.
Stage two, you're about halfway down. You're in danger of fresh air getting in there and exposing stuff. Okay.
Now I want it to be noted I've never staged forward anything. I've always thought it's either up or it's down. But I will give you there's a halfway point, but I don't panic at a halfway. A halfway looks like it just kind of slowly fell down.
Yeah. So
I would say, to me, there's three stages.
Yeah, and of course, stage three is going to be full unzip.
Yeah, just down. It's down. It's a gaping maw.
But we're adding stage four.
Yeah, your stage four was due to a college
hanging
buddy.
Out.
College buddy, something's hanging out. But what did your college buddy used to do?
Well, he would take his shirt and pull his shirt down through his pants and then stick it out his zipper.
Catch your attention.
That would be a stage four.
Because there was
or something else is hanging out.
But that is the fear. But you're right. If the zipper's down, I mean, like people will tell you, like, hey, your zipper's down. And you're like, ooh,
yeah,
and then you get it real quick. Like,
okay. But we buy underwear with patterns on it, striped underwear, colored underwear. Why, if we're not going to show it off, why do we buy it?
Well, it's not for the public. Although there are people that wear the pants below their underwear, which is ridiculous. Wow. Hello? It's not there. My underwear is actually there to catch any...
fashion statement.
No, it's there to... It's another barrier. It's there to be protective and clean. Let's just say that. It's got multiple uses. Thank you for pouring me. That was an act of service.
Now, if
Calm
you
down.
watch, there's 2 hints. I just gave Bart that it was time to move on to
Yes.
the Scotch review, and he hasn't caught on to either
I
one.
missed them both, so he just poured the drink.
Yeah.
I tend to overtalk, so we've got
Bart was
subtle
talking.
hints that you may or may not pick up. If you pick it up, don't say it.
The
Put it in
zipper down
comments.
moved into his boys undressing in the house at
That's
different
true.
stages of
Yeah,
undress.
but it was like hot. It's hot. Sorry. It is. We are on a zipper topic.
Let's talk Talisker 10 from the Isle of Skye.
Yes. love
This
Talisker.
was one of the first Scotch tastings we had. We had Talisker,
Yes.
and I enjoyed it. To me, it was a medium peat. It wasn't the Lafroig or the Lagavulin, the heavier peat.
right.
It was pleasant, and I don't know that I've had Talisker for a few years
Ooh,
now.
boy, I have. Now, well, you've had the Storm. But
Well,
the regular Talisker, there were 2 things that caught me that kept me in Scotch. Number 1, Cragganmore. You've seen it. You know what it is. 2 was the Talisker. That was my second favorite in there. I can tell you the nose. Nose is overpowering. It's a peat. But it's a peat with a sweetness attached to it.
Yeah, I do. And actually, I've gotten a little bit better with peat. It used to be if there was peat in it, it overpowered everything to me. And I can pick up a little bit. I call it a gentle sweetness in here, along with the peat.
And that's what's real nice with the peat here, is that even on the nose, you're getting a little hint of the sweetness to come, that it's not just it's not an ashtray. It's not an ashtray that's going to be hitting in your head, but you know the peat is in there.
Now on the taste neat, along with the peat, which I still consider medium, maybe a medium heavy peat, I do get a salt taste since it does come from the Isle of Skye.
I don't know why, but I get a brine. I get a brine.
I don't get any of the sweetness now or any citrus along with it. It's pretty much peat and salt.
I get sweetness.
But I am getting, like I say, I'm getting the salt along with the peat.
Yeah, I get the immediate spark, like an alcohol spark, and then it moves into the kind of a sweetie toffee. That sounds ridiculous, but a sweetness of like a toffee. The sweetness lingers, and then for me, it's the aftertaste that moves into the brine, and I can almost get like a brininess on my cheeks, almost like a salted meat, and I've got that lingering on the side of my cheek.
We are almost 46%. It's 45.8% ABV. The night that we sat down with this and spent some time with it, I noticed as this sat, once I'd added water and this sat for 30 minutes, the peat really mellowed out with it.
Right.
It really transitioned past the peat into some of the other flavors.
What other flavors did you get?
I was able to get a little bit, I did get the mild sweetness then, like a sugar. And I don't know if I couldn't narrow it down past that, but I did get that. A pepper spiciness. And like I said, the peat was also smoother.
All right. Yeah, I get a layered sweetness. The smoke seems almost to have changed a little bit. It almost seems a little smokier after I put the touch of water in there. But
The night we drank this, though, we both noticed as it had sat there, and it was well past the 30-minute mark as we were still sipping on it, that we noticed that it really mellowed out the peat.
right. Right. I've got a note that the longer it sat in the glass, the more the smoke faded away. Not in a bad way, it's still there, but that the sweetness just picked up. So this is, and I will admit, the Talisker is one of my favorite slow sipping scotches. You know, I have a little bit more. I'll put two solid fingers in there, and I will sit. And this is a beautiful blustery winter drink.
This is, well, I would go, let's say 40-degree weather when it's rainy and it's cold. You've come in and the fireplace is going, and even in the wintertime as well. But
Yeah, it's got that warm, comfortable peat with that sweetness wrapped around like a nice flannel blanket. I'm telling you.
And I'm coming around on the peats. They're still, you know, side by side, I still lean towards the sherry and some of the citrusy stuff, but the peat scotches are definitely coming around for me.
Good, because I love them. This one also has that dry, I've got in my notes, it's got a dry crispness to it. And I have no idea what I was thinking when I wrote this, but I've got in here from my notes, it acts like a Lafroig, but tastes sweet. So,
well, and what we did when we were tasting this, we did pull out some Lafroig to do it side by side to see where the peat was. You thought they were pretty similar, and I was like, no, Lafroig is definitely a different peat, a different smoke, and we pulled them out, went side by side, and then you could tell the difference.
Yeah, distinctly different. And I hadn't had a Lafroig in a while, so you're right.
Yeah.
It really brought down the subtleness of the peat that's in the Talisker.
Definitely.
I mean, it's by and of itself, especially for someone that's probably more into the citruses, I think it's considered a peat. But then you throw it in next to an Ardbeg or a Lafroig, and bam. So.
And probably more, I think, to a campfire type smoke to me.
Okay, yeah. What I get, yeah, I can see that. And that brine in there is just a nice touch. So,
little bit of peat. Well, it's about half peat. It's about 25% brine, 30% brine, and 20% sweet.
Wow, I don't know if I could do all that with
if that much.
I will tell you, while you're drinking this, you want to keep your zipper up.
Yeah.
You don't want to let, I don't know, maybe
let
you're
that,
so relaxed, you're just like, hold on, I'm bringing the zipper down.
Let that fresh sea air in there.
I'm bringing the zipper down. I want to feel like I'm wearing a kilt, baby. I want to breeze.
I'm hot.
I want to breeze. I'm hot. I'm on fire. I had to let myself breathe a little bit.
What are you doing? Your zipper's down.
Yeah, I got a little hot, needed to ventilate.
Need to cool down a little bit.
I will say with the brine, I'm going to reference the Audible book. Go ahead and give out the URL because I can never remember it. It's
audibletrial.com
/
Scotch Test Dummies.
All right, and I'm going to suggest you this. When I was a kid, well, right out of high school, I worked on a cruise ship on the East Coast, a small little ship that would go up and down the waterways. And I saw the USS Constellation, the Constitution in the Boston Harbor area, and I got into the Hornblower series. And I'm going to suggest to you, Ship of the Line, Hornblower, Audible book. Now, if you go, you're going to get a 30-day free trial. You're going to get 1 free credit. It's yours to keep forever. But Hornblower, Ship of the Line is a awesome book. It's going to bring you that briny feeling. You're going to want to taste this while you're listening to the book. Very well written. The Hornblower series is just phenomenal, and they do not have zippers anywhere in that wooden ship Age of Sail, so you don't have to worry about it. How did they secure back then? Was it buttons? It had to be buttons.
Probably didn't have it. Probably didn't have it.
You think you just held your britches up with like suspenders or something?
Yeah,
so how did you go then? A rope. Rope. Surely they had a button fly way back then. All right, Scotch Test Dummies. Scotch it, you Scotch gods.
Cilantro, dummies.
We forgot to do our malt mark on the Talisker. I give it a 91, brother.
We
91.
didn't forget. You forgot. I didn't forget nothing.
Please, you got up and walked away. I was like, malt mark. 91.
What'd you give it?
91. Love the Talisker, love the smoke. This is my baby. Baby back rib.
If you can see it, I'm going an 89. It's putting it right there just below a 90. If it had a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more fruit in there, something else that stood out, it's going to push it right over that 90.
So an 89 is right below a 90?
Yep.
No fruit, baby. This one's smoking sweet, baby.
Really
smoking
good.
Sweet.
For a peaty, good Isle of Skye, briny Scotch, bingo.
And we kill it there. All right. Oh, Guapo. He'll get like millions of views.
Ready?
Unbelievable. Hey, it's the Scott. You ready?
Yeah.
That's an outtake.